Welcome to Absolute Trust Talk with your host, Kirsten Howe. Absolute Trust Talk brings you tips, tools, advice, and interviews to help you build a reliable knowledge base on estate planning, business, and finance to start preparing for your future today. Hello and welcome to Absolute Trust Talk. I am Kirsten Howe. I'm the managing attorney at Absolute Trust Counsel, and I'm very glad you're here today. I'm working on some episodes lately that focus on things we need to know about or things we can do that can help us live our best life all the way to the end. Now, doctor, this is not a medical show. We're not really going to focus on too much on how to live longer. On this show, we're more interested in how to live better. And of course, living longer is usually a good thing, but it can also be problematic for people who don't have enough of a support network as they age. Today, we're going to be talking to someone who has created something that I think is just an ingenious way of helping people get the support they need as they age. My guest is Alison Donnelly, and she has a very impressive and very relevant background for what she's up to today. She's led teams at the forefront of healthcare innovation at Amazon Care and Kaiser Permanente. She started her career in media and technology at the NFL, and she has an MBA from the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth and a BS from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. Very impressive credentials. But the reason she's here today is to talk to us about her current project. She is the founder of JoeyCo. And JoeyCo is a company that matches older adult homeowners, they're called hosts, who need affordable help here and there, matches them with students, and the students are called Joeys, who need a place to live, and they need employment. So Alison's vision is that aging adults will be happier and healthier if they can stay at home with a bit of help, and without spending all their hard-earned money on caregivers. And the caregivers in the family are less stressed out because they're not doing everything. And then the other flip side is that the care provider or the Joey goes through school, gets out with maybe a little less student debt, and it's just a great thing all the way around. I really love this idea. And so, Alison, welcome. I'm so very thrilled to have you here today.
Thanks so much for having me, Kirsten. It's great to be here.
Good. So let's just kind of start at the beginning. What was the inspiration personally to you to get this project going?
Yeah. Like so many of us, and especially like myself in the sandwich generation, I had older adult family members who were aging alone and experiencing bad outcomes. My grandmother was aging alone during COVID. My uncle was choosing a sort of woodsy retirement. He was hunting and fishing. My godmother, who is also my aunt, was aging alone and had a vibrant social life and community, but was living by herself. And each of them, for very different reasons, experienced very bad outcomes aging alone. They had a major health event, each of them. And it felt like this experience personally just kept highlighting, as you noted, I was in healthcare at the time, and we weren't seeing this in our healthcare sort of offices. These are not healthcare things that are happening to my family members until it is something that is healthcare. And I wanted to do something that, changed the outcome for other family members, for other people before it was a health event. And at the time, I was kind of having this personal experience with my older adult family members. I also was a new mom. Like I said, I'm in the sandwich generation. And so I have very small kids. I have a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old at this point. And I was relearning about the au pair system, which is a relatively affordable childcare option for American families. It is enabled by the visa system. And it didn't really make sense to me why we couldn't have live-in, relatively affordable child or older adult support like we have for children. And so that was really the nugget, the aha that led me to developing JoeyCo. And that's why we're here chit-chatting today.
Yeah, I think that's just so fantastic. I found Alison by reading an article about her company in the San Francisco Chronicle, and I thought, this is just such a great idea. I immediately sent her an email and asked her to come on my show. So kind of walk us through how it works. I gave just a little overview of the concept, but walk us through really how the whole thing works.
Yeah, absolutely. So I alluded to the au pair system, and that was sort of my initial hope, was that we could model it very similarly to the au pair system. Because that is a federal government visa system, it actually is outside of a lot of other regulations that we at JoeyCo need to navigate and manage. So part of what we help hosts set up is, in the state of California, you have to be, typically they're lodging agreements, not full rental agreements. It's an owner occupied home, and the room that is being rented comes with a shared kitchen. So they're more like a lodging agreement. But in any case, there are all sorts of complexities to renting space in your home in California. There are all sorts of complexities to employing a household employee and what that actually looks like in California. So from a how it works perspective, there was a long journey for myself as a founder to really dig into that regulatory complexity. And, I always like to say it can be complex for us, but it always needs to be easy for our clients, because
Sure.
you're inviting someone into your home and you want to make sure that you're protected and you really understand what you're signing up for. So a lot of what we do as a service is help our hosts understand what this looks like for them. We love talking with other folks that are part of their support system. We're not attorneys, we're not CPAs, we're not private wealth managers, we aren't professional services, but we know quite a bit about how this looks within someone's financial plans, or how this kind of shows up within their personal finances. So we're always happy to chat with folks like you or other folks that are part of the support system of our hosts to make sure that this lands in the right place for them and their household.
So how does it typically start for you? Does a host come to you looking to find a Joey, or does the Joey come to you, or is it just kind of depends? It could be either one.
It typically starts with a host. We work very closely with a couple different host profiles. So I'll give you an example of some folks that it might be good for. So we work with a lot of, and it typically is women, although it can be men as well, who are aging alone and have this deep altruism. So we work with a lot of folks who are saying, I don't know what to do about the macro environment. There's a lot of noise in politics right now. There's a lot of stuff that I can't control, but I know there's a housing crisis in my community and I have an extra bedroom. And wouldn't it be nice if I could get, my dog walk, the trash cans taken out, and I'm providing housing to a student. So there's this real deep altruism in a lot of our hosts that they want to be part of the solution to this housing crisis that we're facing in California. Another good example of a host that would come to us is a household where there's a spouse or a child caregiver for someone with a diagnosis. And that diagnosis often is dementia of some variety, but it's not always. It could be, diabetes or some other sort of chronic health condition that requires more support and assistance from a family caregiver. Our students aren't trained health aides or anything like that, but there's all sorts of life that still needs to happen. Groceries still need to get picked up, meals still need to get made, trash still needs to go out. So those are some examples of hosts that might come to us. And once they come to us, we really understand what would make them come alive. How would their life get better with a Joey and an extra set of hands? Once we kind of have those parameters and we really design the search, each search is custom to the household and to the host. We have plenty of Joeys that we screen and vet all the time, and we kind of have an ongoing roster. But each time we also do a really custom search, because every household is different, every household is unique. And that's the joy of what we do, is I get to go into people's homes and ask them what makes them come alive and help them find and achieve that. And that's the privilege and the joy of this work, is that everyone is, special snowflake, and we love our special snowflakes, because that's what we all deserve, is to be treated individually and distinctly.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. The Joeys are not caregivers, as you pointed out. They are not helping people be fed. They're not transferring people. They're not helping with toileting, the typical ADRLs that we talk about. But, I was at a play over the weekend, and I was standing in line behind a older person, obviously with a much younger person. It could have been a grandchild, but we struck up a conversation. And it wasn't a Joey situation, but it was that kind of thing. It was a more distant, kind of friend saying, I bet this person would really like to be able to go to a play, but couldn't without help. And it was just a lovely thing to see. And I think that's exactly the kind of thing you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, household chores, but there's also more to it even than that.
Absolutely. You're spot on that those social connections, and it doesn't even have to be, deep friendships or ongoing, kind of social relationships, but going to a play and chit-chatting with someone in line. There's so much vibrancy to life that starts to feel smaller sometimes as we age, and, giving yourself space to see your world expand. And, plays are wonderful for storytelling and new ideas, just like you were saying, it's really wonderful to be able to enable that expansion in life as opposed to feeling like it's getting smaller all the time.
Yeah, I think that is a serious problem for a lot of people, that their world just kind of does get smaller as they get less physically able to do things. And also, their peer group kind of goes away gradually, one by one. We lose our friends. That's one of the things I like so much about your idea, is that it's more than just, I need a job, you have a job. It's more than just a business transaction. There are wins on both sides of the equation that are way beyond the business transaction. It's just beautiful. That's the word.
It is. Thank you. I agree.
I'm sure you do. It's just lovely. But maybe a little bit, because, I'm a lawyer. I got to get down into the details.
Hit me on the
So you help them figure out maybe what's an appropriate, well, let me back it up. The Joey is getting a place to live. They're getting a room in a house. But I'm guessing that sometimes there's additional compensation beyond that, or is that the entire compensation?
Yeah. So in California, there are only certain deductions you can make to minimum wage to actually still be compliant for lodging. We actually set up two distinct agreements. There's the housing license, so the lodging agreement in most cases, and the employment offer letter. So there are actually two distinct, there's a rental sort of payment. Let's call it on the first of the month. Let's say it's $1,000. The $1,000 goes to the host from the Joey at the beginning of the month. And then per California sort of employment regulations, the Joey is a W-2 employee of the household. And so we help the host set up with a payroll service provider, and they pay the Joey every other week, biweekly per California law.
Okay. So you've got that all dialed in, that you can help them figure out what that needs to look like and get it done for them. Do you also sort of walk them through, okay, these are the expectations. This is what you're not requiring the Joey to be available 24/7. And you're not, there's limits on what kinds of tasks you would be expecting them. So you facilitate that agreement between them.
Absolutely. So we have, I just covered kind of the two core legal agreements that get signed. We also have what we call our house manual, and that does all of the sort of more roommate kind of stuff that needs to get talked through. We're big believers in clear communication up front and building consistent and clear communication throughout. So we set up that house manual. It'll include everything from, the Wi-Fi password to how are we going to share the fridge? Is anything fair game? Or are we going to do, a shelf system, right? These are things we'd love to talk through before they become issues. And ongoing, we have what we call our weekly look ahead meeting. We ask both hosts and Joeys to have a weekly meeting to not only talk about, okay, yes, I worked 10 hours last week. Let's confirm that and make sure that gets into payroll, but also looking ahead at the schedule. Flexibility requires communication. And so to your point, the Joey's not on call all the time, but let's make sure that their class schedule doesn't conflict with your bridge game or whatever the sort of needs are for the week. And that way we're kind of building in that system of communication for small conflict. I'll give you an example. One of our hosts didn't realize how loud the guest bathroom fan was. And we really needed to address and talk about, that guest bathroom fan, I really need you to turn it off after you're done showering because it's very loud and it kind of rattles my bedroom. And it's things like that we want to make sure we're talking about, hey, let's turn off the bathroom fan, or let's not use the blender super early in the morning, or whatever those small things are before, oh my gosh, I really need to get this person out of my house. And that's a big part of our process to build that habit and build that communication on the little things so they don't become big things.
Right. Because everybody wants it to work very much.
Exactly. Everyone's bought in.
It's a lot easier to make something that exists work than to start all over again. Recreate.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Absolute Trust Talk Live. If you enjoyed listening in, then don't forget to subscribe. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may listen by searching Absolute Trust Talk. While you're there, we would also love for you to leave us a review. And then why not share your favorite episodes with family, friends, or colleagues too? You can find all of our shows and corresponding show notes by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com. You'll also find a variety of other free resources, including our ebooks, videos, blogs, presentations, and more. If you need help with your estate planning or administration, we also offer a free discovery call to help get the process started. You can find more information on booking your session by visiting absolutetrustcounsel.com/scheduling. If you join us for the broadcast, you can submit questions during the show. But if not, don't worry. You can always get in touch with us by sending a quick message to info@absolutetrustcounsel.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you soon.
This podcast is not meant to take the place of legal advice from an attorney and does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you do have a legal question or issue, please consult with an attorney.